At 9 a.m. here in Los Angeles. It is Thursday, February 6th, AD 2020. What? 2025. I said everything right, didn't I? I wasn't really paying attention to what I was saying. Yes, I did? Okay, cool. Thanks, Nick. Anchor Baby helping to make stuff happen over here. We're going to get to your calls, your super chats, your buymeacoffee.com/the Hake Report. You can. You're welcome to. I'll read them. A whole lot of mess going on in the world. A whole lot of mess. I just shake my head about it. The people are freaking out about Trump's big plans. And there are people also freaking out that Trump is not enough. Trump is not doing enough. He's not deporting enough. He's not on pace to deport millions of illegals, like over 2 million illegals like Obama supposedly did. But I'll tell you one thing. You may be right, a lot of you guys. I'm seeing other competitors say Trump is not deporting enough. Where's the mass deportations? You may be totally right. I'm not taking that away from you, okay? But there are some policy changes that put Obama to shame. Because Obama was shameful. You may not have been aware, Zoomers. Well, some of you guys, Zoomers, are more knowledgeable than Hake, right? Because you read. Terrible. But I remember Obama did DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, meaning illegal unconstitutional amnesty for people who came here when they were minors, right? Or were brought here through no fault of their own. Stupid, as if that means anything. So he did all kinds of exceptions. He tried to do DAPA. Nobody ever brings up that he tried to do DAPA, except for Hake. Because Hake keeps a record of wrongs, because Hake does not have love for Obama. It's terrible. But anyway, yeah, he tried to do Deferred Action for Parents of Americans. It really should have been DAPAB, because it's parents of anchor babies, honestly. He wanted to, illegals who come here, or people who become illegals through overstayed visas, who come here, have babies, and those babies are Americans because they're anchor babies. I'm putting quotation marks. He tried to defer action on that, and he was stopped. The court stopped him on that. But the courts didn't stop him on the so-called dreamers, the DACA recipients. The court stopped Trump for trying to overturn DACA. It was an executive action by Obama, and Trump tried to do an executive action first term, and they stopped him. Well, Trump is more clever and prepared this term, I think. And so he's doing pretty well with that. And one of the things that Trump is doing, in contrast to what Obama did not close the border. He allowed all kinds of unaccompanied alien children into the country. And on purpose, he allowed them in. He stationed the border agents, I heard, like 100 miles or 40 miles from the border, so as to allow them in and then to maybe catch them or let them turn themselves in, and then you redistribute them around the country, embed them in the country. People in Maine getting caught with rape charges, statutory rape anyway, illegals. I remember one story of something like that. Whereas Trump closing the border, building the wall, and also saying, oh, we're going to go into churches. Oh, we're going to go into classrooms. Churches are no sanctuary anymore. So Trump is taking steps towards what's right with regard to the illegals, whether or not his numbers on the deportations are up. People fiddle and fool with numbers in so many ways. I remember the great and beautiful Queen, Ann Coulter, said that Obama changed the definition of deportation to cook the books on his deportation numbers. And in my mind, I was thinking about how Obama wanted to change the demographics of America. No longer a white country, no longer a Christian country. That's what Obama wanted. And Biden, by the way. I think I'm fair in making that statement. Obama and Biden didn't want America to be white anymore. nor did they want America to be Christian anymore. And what were the things that they did? Oh, Obama, my theory about the liberals, they don't mind illegals committing crimes, but they don't want it to be so much that it gets bad PR for open borders. They want good PR for open borders. So they want the taco people, because people like tacos. They want the foreigners who are just nice seeming. They want illegals to be military men and women and appear like they're upstanding, so they have positive propaganda stories about illegals so that we accept them even though we shouldn't. And then the dumb conservatives sort of fall into the trap of a PR battle on, oh no, illegals are criminals and terrorists. Oh no, illegals are upstanding people who just mind their own business and work and they pay taxes. It's all stupid. Illegals don't even belong here, period. That's it. Like Trump says, because they're illegal. And so I think Obama may have, I know that I heard at the time during the Obama administration that Obama was not targeting criminals. He was doing raids on workplaces where illegals were working to get the numbers up so he could troll, in my thinking, right? So he could troll the conservatives, oh, I'm deporting more than hell, yeah. But he actually wasn't. Or he was, but he wasn't. He was also letting in more like crazy to try to change America. And that's indisputable. I'm pretty sure. So that's my little spiel. I want to add some context to what the people are saying, that Trump is not deporting enough. That may or may not be true. You may or may not be being impatient. I don't know. A lot of people seem quick to judge on the right, you know? Quick to judge Trump. And I don't want to be quick to defend, right? Even though I may be. But I want to give you some real context because he's for the country. That's indisputable. He's for the country. My opinion. I'm looking at the water. I'm fascinated with the water. It's so nice. Where would we be without water? There's some other news happening, guys. The National Weather Service is crying about and fear-mongering about, oh, if we get downsized by Trump, we're not going to be able to send life-saving, if we get more staff cut, we're not going to send life-saving weather warnings. Well, their life-saving weather warnings aren't even heeded anyway, because didn't the National Weather Service warn about fire danger? Extreme fire danger? And yet they let the fires happen, and not only happen, but go out of control here in California. They don't prepare. The California so-called leadership doesn't prepare. And I don't know, I'm leery of the U.S. Postal Service, the National Weather Service, anything Fed, anything state of California, for example. Federal workers offered buyouts. All this drama over, by the way, of Trump resettling the Palestinians. We'll see what happens. Crazy stuff. And they're saying that there are, by the way, some Indians are getting deported. That's cool. Indians getting deported. They're saying that Project 2025 is in the White House. I was watching one competitor say that the same thing that I said, by the way, that Trump would not be doing deportations, predicting it. And I predicted the same. Trump would not be doing mass deportations in a way that looks ugly to the people who are traumatized and scared of looking like the Gestapo or whatever. Because it would look like Nazis rounding up the Jews, not Nazi ICE rounding up the illegals, the immigrants. I knew that he wouldn't do that. You have to think realistic. You have to have realistic expectations, or better yet, no expectations. So he's like, the media is gonna be showing nonstop kids getting deported or kids in cages, and Trump is gonna be like, this doesn't look good. Who's that based Jew whom I like? Stephen Miller, the bald one, who bashed Jake Tapper righteously. And Trump is sort of subject to, a little bit, in some sense, the media, what things look like. He even pointed that out to Israel. Israel, you got to wrap it up. It's not looking good. It doesn't look good. They're casting, you're losing the PR battle. He knows about PR. So, anyway, we'll see what happens. But regardless of all that, even with the bad and the good, there were bad and good with Reagan, who was, I heard, a great president. There's going to be bad and good with the Trump administration. He's still our greatest president. Nice. So a little deportation context. Deportation/importation of illegals. And a little bit on the news. And again, I will get to your super chats, your calls. Some of you guys already on hold. What's up, Jules, Crichton, Son of Liberty, Dustin Cross? Nice to see you guys in the Rumble crew. Shout out to JLP rating the stream. That's nice. Nice to see you guys. I'm shaking my head because Rumble has some disgusting ads. Rumble, if you want people, a little pro tip to Rumble, by the way, before I get into the intro of the show. If you want people to watch Rumble, don't be showing these disgusting, let's see if I can show this to you guys. Ads. Watch. Okay, let's see. If it shows my show right away, then I'm having problems. Okay, here's a gross ad loading. I feel like it's loading a gross ad right here. Don't be showing disgusting, that's not appetizing looking thing. Okay, so that's an example of a bad looking ad. And then let's see, skip ad and see something else gross. Okay, we found it. Normally they make you skip 2 ads. They had one where like it's looking down at a person's mouth, gargling. And you see like the bubbles coming up in the water inside of the mouth. That's gross. Rumble, you're making me disgusted, and I don't even want to watch videos on your website because you force us to watch these dumb, ridiculous advertisements. Just a little pro tip for Rumble. Not that I'm a pro. I mean, you guys are more pro than Hake. We're Rumble. Sickos. And I like Rumble. They're supposedly conservative and supposedly free speech. Asmodor was able to be on Rumble. Nick, one of my competitors, Fuentes, was, the president for 2036 and whenever he's going to be president, was able to be on Rumble. So that's cool. I appreciate you guys, but you're a mess. It's a long intro. But I take my time. So what's up, guys? What's up, Facebook crew? What's up, Poncho? Is it Poncho King? Because I've been saying Poncho King. Nice to see you, man. Lordy. Okay. I'm just checking everything, making sure we're all clear. Anyway, guys. Let's just get right on with the show.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report.
So, how you guys doing? I am fine. I'm wearing a nice plain shirt. You proud of me? Something plain, something nice. But you can get your Punchie's coffee, jesseleepeterson.com/ rebuildingtheman.com/stores, or an easy thing to remember, jesseleepeterson.shop. Very cool. Let me go back out here and show this to you guys right quick. Let's go over here. Oh, love it. And then that's it. Very nice, huh? Oh, come on. How do I do this? No. Oh, what? Where'd you go? Whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay, real quick. Just want to make this right. Bring. Punchie's coffee. Very cool. All right. So, really? Oh, wow. I just hit escape and it just closes the whole thing. By the way, this is news from a Christian alpha male perspective. And with that, let's get to another fellow alpha male, Ronnie in Ohio, who's on the line over here. Ronnie, how you doing, man? What's up?
My brother Hake, how you doing today?
Doing fine, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for taking my call.
Yes.
I think I called you on Tuesday and ended up getting sucked back into work.
Okay.
But, I wanted to talk about that MLK clip, and I know Jesse and I kind of touched base on it a little bit more yesterday. But the point that I wanted to get to was the Homestead Act and guys like George Washington Carver. Are you familiar with George Washington Carver?
A little bit. Yes, a little bit.
As far as like all the many uses of the peanut, among other things.
Yeah, they say that they claim that he invented peanut butter or something.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily go that far and say that he invented peanut butter, but we wouldn't have got peanut butter without him and the advances that he made.
Okay, really?
But the way he was able to get the land that he owned was through the Homestead Act. He was
really?
He was one of the fortunate black people to be able to get through all the loopholes and be able to make some land claims underneath the Homestead Act.
Okay.
And it's hard to imagine him having the success that he had without being able to take advantage of the Homestead Act.
Right.
So my biggest takeaway from all of that was if more.
Well, I mean,
black
I said right,
able,
not that I necessarily agree. Just that I was just saying right. I was.
You're following me. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
And but my overall point with that, and it kind of still ties into what Martin Luther King was talking about in that clip. Whereas if more black people had been given bootstraps to pull themselves up with, we would have had a lot more George Washington Carvers.
You think so?
But unfortunately, that's not how it worked out.
I don't think that's the case, man. I think that there are unique, once in a generation type people like Elon Musk, like Donald Trump, like George Washington Carver, if he's of that caliber, which he might be, who, whatever, they got challenges, they got benefits, and they knew how to use those benefits and opportunities, and they knew how to handle those challenges, or they handled those challenges. And everybody has different opportunities. There's no such thing as equal opportunity, I say. And so it's the quality of the person far, far, far more than the circumstance that's given them by the government or by parents or anything. I mean, parents are
I agree with you about 80%. 80% in a way, I agree with you.
Okay.
But the other two guys that you mentioned amongst George Washington Carver, I think you mentioned Trump and Elon Musk.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how wealthy Elon Musk's parents were and what kind of money he was born into.
Right.
But I know that Trump was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, so it's hard to compare his rise to the top to George Washington Carver's, who was clearly not born with a silver spoon in his mouth. It's not the same.
You're saying silver spoon in his mouth. Most people who are born with a silver spoon in their mouth are they go astray. Trump did not. When I say go astray, when I say go astray, yeah, granted Trump did, sinned or whatever, but he is still to this day well put together, worldly wise. He's not a druggie. He's not a Hunter Biden. No judgment on Hunter Biden. I like him, but he wasn't exactly his father. He did better than his father. Trump did, I think.
Yeah, and those are two topics that I really wouldn't care to argue much with you on.
Do you somewhat agree?
Whether I really don't even have an opinion on it, on whether or not he strayed. Right. My point is, not many people get to go to their dad and get a quote unquote small loan of $1 million
or however much it was
started. Yeah,
I know,
it was actually a couple million. If you read Art of the Deal and a couple of his other books, you'll find out that it was not a small loan of $1 million, but it was much more substantial than that. In addition to the knowledge that his dad had about being a real estate mogul. So he had the person, it's kind of like Deion Sanders' son getting ready to go into the NFL, and his dad has already kind of conquered the NFL world and football in general.
Yeah. So
to have that guy in your corner kind of coaching you up, and then I would say Barron Trump is probably next in line. When you got somebody like Donald Trump who has the power that he has and the money that he has and the influence, it kind of puts you ahead of those who weren't born with those types of things.
Even bigger, though, than the money is the influence of a good father, a father who raised you in a good way on some level. Michael Jordan's son is going through it. You may have heard. I may get to that soon, where Michael Jordan's son is arrested for drugs allegedly and problems, whereas LeBron James. I grudgingly admit LeBron James's son, at least he's younger than Jordan, right? But he's going to the NBA and sort of more closely in his father's footsteps. So the quality of the father, and I don't know what kind of father LeBron James is. He seems more like a mama to me. But regardless, you got
to get out your emotions and your feelings, man.
So anyway, it's a credit to the quality of character and the quality of the raising more than more than the money that they're given in the land that they're given.
Yeah, and I won't split hairs with you. I think both of those things are in the recipe, and where we wouldn't get Donald Trump if he didn't have the character that he had, if he didn't have the resilience that he had.
Yeah.
He's driven. But again, he has all of those things combined with the fact that as a young man, he could go get that $1 million, give or take a couple commas, and then be able to start his business. Whereas there are many everyday hardworking Americans who probably have just as much drive, just as much ambition, but they don't have the capital and they don't have the means to ascend to the heights of Donald Trump and Elon Musk.
Yeah, but
George Washington Carver, tying it back to him, he clearly had it because he didn't have any examples. He wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth, and he made it happen.
It feels like you sort of are almost are snubbing the respect for the rich.
I would say get out your feelings again. Not doing that. Because you can't just have money. That's not right. The only ingredient in there for success.
And you can't just have drive.
All those other things.
You have to be clever. You have to be bad. You got to be smart. You got to be wise. And these things are just worldly success, honestly. And that is sort of shallow worldly thinking because blacks, correct me if I'm wrong, but blacks morally were better in their moral living than they before the civil rights movement than after.
I could only go off of the testimony of those uncles and grandfathers that I have. I don't know anybody that was born back then. We were both born in the 80s.
Yeah.
So we don't know anybody. We don't know enough people to be able to draw that conclusion on black people were more moral before the civil rights movement than they are now.
I think
neither one of us can do that with true accuracy.
We can be pretty accurate because we know old black folks, and we know old folks in general. Both the broader culture and the black people are worse morally today, more off the deep end, ridiculous, more on the moral level than back in the good old days.
Yeah, and I hear you. I don't care enough about that argument enough to even have it.
Oh, okay.
Because it doesn't do anything. If we draw draw the conclusion
part of the reason that I bring it up is because MLK didn't promote morality. He promoted comparing what whites got versus what blacks got.
I disagree. To try to reduce all of his efforts and the life, which was cut short, by the way.
Right.
To try to reduce his life to whatever it was that you just said, that's kind of it's unfair and it's definitely inaccurate to say that was all he did.
I think he's unfair and inaccurate in his comparing what whites got to what blacks got when there was reasons for that. More than just, the whites got the Homestead Act and blacks don't have boots to pick themselves up with. Blacks
he would tell you that it was more than just that. I agree with you.
He called it was cruel.
It was definitely more than just that.
But why would he call it cruel to say, pick yourself up, get up and walk?
It's only cruel to say that to a bootless man.
But there is no such thing as a bootless man. Any man who's alive is not bootless.
I disagree with you. That's the way the approach you just took was kind of subjective.
How so?
And I just disagree. I disagree with approaching it that way.
Wait.
To say that if they're alive, they're not bootless, I would strongly disagree with that. There are people that need physical help in this world.
Right.
There are people that need mental help. There are people that need spiritual help. There are people that need financial help.
And there are always people to help. There are always people to help. Just because the government isn't helping doesn't mean that...
That's not true.
Yes, it is true.
That's not true.
Uh-huh.
That's not true.
Yes, it is.
To say that there are always people to help, it wasn't like that during the Great Depression.
Yes, it was.
That's why the Great Depression happened.
How did they get through it? How did they get through the Great Depression if there was no people to help?
Time out. You're moving past the Depression and trying to and bringing up.
I'm not moving past the Depression. I'm talking about in the midst of the Depression.
Yeah, in the midst of the Depression, things were bad until they weren't anymore. But I'm telling you that they were bad because there weren't enough people to help.
That's not why.
That is exactly why.
No, that's not why.
That's exactly why the Great Depression happened.
No.
The haves had more than the have-nots did, and the have-nots didn't have enough to really make things keep going the way that they were. We went from the Roaring '20s to the Great Depression for a reason.
You're changing the subject, and you're also talking like a communist.
That was you. The only subject I wanted to bring up was
helping. You brought up the issue of helping.
Right. You said there are always people around to help.
Right.
And I'm telling you that that's not true.
It is true.
There are some people who are bootless and need help, and if they don't get the help that they need, they're going to remain in that state. In the conversation I had yesterday,
and I told you nobody is bootless.
Some people don't want the help, and I agree with you.
I told you nobody is bootless because everybody has help.
And I disagree with that.
You disagree that everybody has help? If anybody doesn't have help, it's because they're all by themselves. They put themselves all by themselves with no one around to help.
I would say that there are people, thousands and 10,000s of Americans who need help and are not receiving the help that they need, whether it be mental, physical, financial, spiritual, whatever the case may be.
Right.
So to say that there's always help, okay, maybe there's always help, but there's not always help that's accessible, and there's not always help that's put into place, and there are people, like I said, that are not receiving the help that they need.
And there's people like MLK, and it sounds like you're falling for it, who think that help should come from the government. That's
not what he said.
He was suggesting it.
That's not what he said. In the same breath that he said, right before he talked about it being cruel to tell a bootless man to pull himself up, he said, I believe black people ought to do all that we can to pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps. So right now you sound like a never Trumper or somebody with Trump derangement syndrome that gets hung on the fact that he said on January 6th, if you don't go fight for your country, you won't have it. And they just overlooked the fact that he said do it peacefully and peacefully. They overlooked that. You're overlooking the fact that MLK said black people ought to do everything that they can to pull themselves up by their bootstraps.
Then he was a forked-tongued man speaking out of both sides of his mouth.
He never said
he was
the
calling
government
whites. He was calling whites cruel for saying blacks help yourselves, and then he said blacks help yourselves.
He didn't say white people are cruel for saying it.
He said it's cruel to say pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and then he said pull yourself up by your bootstraps. He's speaking out of both sides of his mouth, just like Obama did about abortion and fathers and all that stuff, victimhood.
I get it. If you don't understand and your level of comprehension is low, then it seems like he's talking out of both sides of his mouth. But if you approach that in a good faith way, you'll see that it's clear what he was saying.
It's not good faith to call somebody cruel to say help yourself.
It's not good faith to call somebody cruel to say help yourself. It is cruel to say that if you're saying it to somebody that cannot help themselves.
But you're in your head. You're sounding like a mama, like MLK. And
I'm
a communist because you're talking about the haves and have-nots, by the way.
What you're doing is taking MLK and all of his efforts that he did and trying to reduce it and paint it in a terrible light. And one that's not even true or accurate.
But it was terrible what he was doing.
That's the only thing I take issue with. That's the only thing I take issue with when it comes to you and your analysis, for lack of a better word, of what he was saying.
But it was terrible what he did.
You're allowed to feel that way.
It's not what it is what I feel, but it is what it's.
You're allowed to feel that way.
It was objectively terrible, the results of MLK and his efforts. That's why he's a hero.
I firmly disagree that the results of his efforts were terrible.
Why are blacks worse today than they've ever been, morally?
If that's true, it's not MLK's fault.
No, it's not. It's their own fault for following in his evil thinking, comparing their plight to whites.
Why are you trying to blame it on him?
Because his efforts were evil.
Trying to blame?
I'm just blaming his efforts as being evil.
And you're saying his efforts are evil based on how you
based
feel
on comparing what other people got to what you got, to what other people got.
Wait, say that again?
Comparing what one group of people get to what another group of people get 100 years before, and saying, oh, they're bootless, therefore.
100 years before. So you really don't know how to homestead. You know people were still making claims in the Homestead Act in the 1970s?
You're getting hung up on my point.
Hold on.
You're getting hung up. Yes, you're getting hung up.
I just want to make sure that you understand with the Homestead Act, there were still people making claims underneath that in the 1970s.
Right.
Okay,
but do you understand? Do you understand what I'm talking about with comparing and victimhood and pretending that people are helpless?
I'll understand it better if you can tell me why it's okay to complain about DEI, but it's not okay to point out that white people were treated in a more beneficial way under the Homestead Act than black people were.
So you cannot engage with me on the folly of comparing your situation to others unless I do what?
Unless you tell me why it's okay to do that when it comes to DEI and point out that black people or other minorities were given jobs that white people couldn't get. So if it's okay to complain about that and point that out, why is it not okay to point out that white people were given way more land underneath the Homestead Act? Why is it okay to do one and not do the other when they're both comparing?
Yeah, you're the one comparing both times.
I don't complain about DEI, and I didn't complain about the Homestead Act not being.
No, but when you point out one wrong of DEI, you have to point out another wrong of white people getting something wrong, supposedly.
But I've never ever heard you say that complaining and comparing with regards to DEI was a bad thing. I've never heard you say that.
What?
I've never heard you say that complaining about DEI was a bad thing.
Yeah, I did.
I've never heard you say that was a bad thing.
Oh, well, you don't listen then.
No. I'm not saying that DEI itself is bad. I'm talking about complaining about it.
Right. I said you don't listen because I told whites not to complain and be victims about the DEI thing.
When?
So
I've never heard you say that, Hake. I've never.
I
every
say
time,
it practically
I think I've
every
heard
day.
Jesse,
Whites don't be victims.
Jesse
So
at least once a week talks about how bad DEI is, and I've never heard you interject and tell him. Hold on. I've never heard you interject and tell him to not complain and to stop comparing when it comes to DEI because one group got something that another group didn't.
Because Jesse doesn't feel like a victim, nor does he think of whites as victims.
I've never heard you correct the record and say we should not complain about DEI and the fact that we're comparing black people getting something that white people aren't getting. I've never heard you say that.
What? You're being silly.
You're taking the approach.
You're being silly. We're talking about right and wrong. DEI is wrong. It has nothing to do with comparing what white people don't get.
Guess what else is wrong? It's also wrong to have a Homestead Act where you're going to give land away to Americans and you don't equally give that to the people based on their race. That's not okay either. And rather than you say it's wrong, you want to talk about a bunch of other things.
No.
So you don't think it was
what
wrong?
What MLK was doing was not saying, "Oh, the Homestead Act is wrong." He was saying, "Black people didn't get this, and white people did. That's why the blacks don't get what the whites are doing." But the blacks had many opportunities, and they were taking advantage of those opportunities. But he wanted to focus on the blacks, the do-nothing blacks, the victim blacks, and cast them as victims. And he was complaining and being a bitter lame-o. And that's this mindset of blacks to this day, including you, are treating the blacks like that.
I didn't know until now that you analyzed that clip without actually listening to it.
I did listen to it.
That's exactly what he was talking about.
He was talking about victimhood. Blacks don't have boots. It's being cruel.
That's not what he said. What he said was there was a willingness of the American government to give land away to white Americans, but not to black Americans. You don't think that's wrong?
I don't know, nor do I really care.
That's cool. That's right. I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I'm okay with you not caring
because
about.
Because what's worse wrong is what they've done to the blacks today, where they're giving them stuff, and that's what MLK advocated for.
He couldn't. He didn't advocate.
Yeah,
for
he
that,
did.
And he didn't.
We're going to get our check.
He didn't speak on the way we're being treated now. He couldn't speak on the way we're being treated now because it's 60 years later.
I didn't say that. But man, you're just an intellectual hung up on shallow intellectual circumstances rather than the evil spirit of victimhood of the blacks. And you want to compare whites to the victimhood of the blacks, and they're falling into that, but you're deviating from the point that MLK was a mama and evil.
Okay, and if we're doing that, before I just leave it there, I would say that you're being emotional with your analysis of what MLK was trying to explain to white people. You either are unwilling or just really too ignorant to understand what he was saying and trying to point that out.
He was being like Obama.
Paint the picture. And then to try to paint the picture and just call him a mama clearly shows that you're just being emotional in your analysis, and you clearly didn't hear what he said because you're trying to say that he said one thing when he clearly said another. And that's okay. The only point that I tried to make was if the Homestead Act was more fair to black people, we would have had a lot more George Washington Carvers and not as many Crips and Bloods.
You have no evidence for that.
Yeah. I think I can use that tagline of you have no evidence for that for a bunch of things that you say and the things that you said during this conversation.
That's being a shallow, socialist-minded, communist, materialistic person. Materials don't define your morality. Bloods and Crips didn't happen because they didn't get the Homestead Act.
I didn't say that.
I know, but you're saying if they got the Homestead Act, we'd have had more George Washington Carvers and less Bloods and Crips, which is ridiculous living in your imagination.
You can call it what you want.
It's living in your imagination.
You can call it what you want.
That's what it is.
True. I think it's true. I think if black people were given access,
you think.
I think if not I feel. I think if black people were given more access to owning,
thinking is wrong.
If black people were feeling is wrong too. Then if you want to go with that logic,
right?
But what I'm saying,
but thinking is wrong. It's ridiculous. You're using the word access. Do you hear yourself?
I keep getting cut off. I don't hear myself because I keep getting interrupted. I hear you.
And you're using
I'm
the
trying
word
to say to you
access.
is,
You're using the
if
word
there were-
materials.
If black people had been given more access to owning land, which is the best way to start generational wealth, you would have a lot more generationally wealthy black families.
Not true.
I don't think that that's crazy to say.
It is crazy to say because you're using communist buzzwords and you don't even realize it.
I mean, this buzzword.
Did you
when I talk
access?
about owning,
Access.
owning land is not communist.
No, but access to owning is communist.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It's not.
Access is a communist buzzword, dude. You have a communist mindset, no different from Joe from Phoenix.
I'm talking about owning land. That's the furthest thing from communism.
No, it is.
What are you talking about?
But it is communism
That's owning,
because you're talking
owning
about
land.
by way of government help, like the Homestead Act and all that stuff.
I'm not talking about that.
I know, but you're complaining about the Homestead Act.
I'm not talking about that.
And so you're talking about access.
About anything.
But they had access to owning land.
Anything.
They had access to owning land. They were owning land. Pre-civil rights, blacks were owning land. True or false?
A handful of black people owning land is not the same as what I'm talking about.
But they were owning land, right?
A handful of black people owning land is not what I'm talking to you about.
They were owning land and they were growing.
There were some, yes.
Yeah, so then why are you complaining about?
Even this, once the Homestead Act
You're talking about access when they had access, and now they're given too much access.
And there were some black farmers that did. They said about 25% of black Southern farmers actually owned their land in the 1860s. That would have been a good thing had it been protected and kept continuing. But that snowball didn't get to grow because of things like the mentality that you're spewing, where you say that black people don't need access to owning land. Just
access is a stupid communist buzzword, dude. You're falling in the footsteps of government thinking, materialistic thinking, and not morals and spirit. Morality, I mean, in spirit.
What about land ownership? What about land ownership and generational wealth? Is that communism or is that capitalist?
Those are communist ideas because generational
owning land and having generational wealth.
The generational wealth word
you sound dumb, Hake.
No, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why.
Donald Trump came from a family of generational wealth.
You're interrupting me now.
Owning land. I am, and owning land is the way that you generate wealth in this place, and that's not communism. That's capitalism.
Generational wealth.
Fair and accurate. You can't even be fair and accurate in this conversation.
Another reason.
Point out that owning land and trying to start generational wealth is actually rooted in capitalism.
Let me prove you wrong on the generational wealth thing because you're being ridiculous on the generational wealth. You're falling into the communist idea about generational wealth. It's stupid. So let me explain it. Let me explain.
You can't even admit that it's really rooted in capitalism. So
no. Listen to this.
Listen to this explanation.
Okay, well, try. Calm down and try to listen.
I'm good.
But you have a mindset that generational wealth is capitalist and it's communist. Capitalism is a stepping stone to communism. Did you know that?
Capitalism is a stepping stone to. I really want to hear this.
Okay. So in the past, you're right. Whites would own land and that land would increase in value and the kids would have the land and that land would increase in value. And I don't know how much the increase of value happened in the older days, but it happens faster now. But land value also decreased with things like integration, forced integration of neighborhoods, for example. When blacks moved into a neighborhood, the value of the neighborhood would go down because eventually crime would take over and the whites would leave and those neighborhoods, once beautiful and valuable, would become slums. So that destroyed much white generational wealth. And so there's a lot of rights and wrongs done by the government and society and the culture that help or hurt so-called generational wealth. And also, in the course of one generation, one person's lifetime, you can make a fortune and lose a fortune and make a fortune again and lose it again and probably do that 2 or 3 more times. So this generational wealth thing is it's like a comparing one rich family or dynasty's situation to a supposedly poor family's dynasty and situation or lack thereof. and pretending like that's the only way. When in reality, there were evil things done to the whites, to the blacks, and the government's not the answer, man. You shouldn't be using these government buzzwords like access. So generational.
I agree with you wholeheartedly that the government is not the answer. And
Yeah.
I don't know why you keep suggesting that I or Martin Luther King said either one of those things.
Okay, well, thank you. And so do
And I still don't
you
see
follow
how
what I'm saying
capitalism
about
is a
generational
stepping-
wealth
I-
comparing?
I don't. You said it can be good or it can be bad.
No.
And neither
I'm
one of
saying
those
generational
things tell
wealth
me-
was-
neither one of those things tell me how capitalism is a stepping stone to communism.
I don't know what you're
I'm
talking
still
about,
waiting
good
on
or
that one.
bad. What do you mean good or bad?
You said owning land can either lead you to a fortune or it can lead you to losing the fortune, and it can do either. And I agree with that. I
Right.
wasn't never arguing that. What I
And
said
do you
was,
see what how whites' generational wealth was destroyed when they were forced to move and start all over again because their
No.
properties values were destroyed by the integration of the black criminals?
no,
No? You don't see that point?
no.
Do you believe it to be true?
I'm sure that happens in a bunch of places.
Yeah. What a mess, huh?
I wouldn't say that that's a majority. I wouldn't say that that's what happens most of the time. If that happened most of the time, white people who own all that land and kept losing those fortunes, they would have moved somewhere else to a different country where they could have a better chance.
Well,
But
they
what
kept
I
on
think
moving
actually
further and
happened is they
further
just
out to the
went-
boonies, and there's
what
no more
I
else.
think what happened is they would just sell that land and then use that money that they get from selling their land to improve land in a different neighborhood without black people.
Right? But that's still,
So
it's still,
they're not losing. They're not
Oh,
losing.
yeah, they
and
are.
I still don't see the communism. I don't see the communism. I'm still waiting on you to show me that one.
because the communism is comparing somebody's generational wealth to your lack of generational wealth and pretending like, oh, therefore life isn't fair and we need to make life fair. And it's
I don't know who
cruel. And
did
it's
that.
cruel to say. Get up and walk when you have no
I don't know who
boots.
said that either.
MLK said it,
I don't-
and you're backing him
He
up.
didn't say that. He didn't say that, and I'm not backing it up because he
Okay.
didn't say that.
All right.
And if he did say that, I wouldn't agree with him. I would tell
Nice.
him that Jesus said, you definitely tell somebody to get up and walk.
That's right.
Take their mat with them, but first you check and see if they want to get up. That's what Jesus did.
Nice.
But if MLK had said that, I wouldn't be defending it. But what he
MLK
said
has
was
more
accurate.
people not wanting to get up than ever.
If you want to blame MLK for somebody in 2025 being lazy, I would say you being bad about it.
No,
You're
I'm
going
not
about
just.
it the
I'm not
wrong
blaming
way.
MLK. I just said MLK has more people not wanting to get up than ever.
It
I'm not
sounds like
blaming
you're trying
MLK.
to it sounds like you're ascribing the blame to him for people
No.
choosing to be lazy. And that ain't cool.
No. You know why I say no? It's not his fault. Is because one, it's the sucker's fault for falling for that thinking. And two, there's a whole lot of people who are propping MLK up, just as there are people propping up Ronald Reagan, and in the name of Reagan, or propping up Trump, and in the name of Trump, they're doing all kinds of things, or in the name of Jesus, they're doing all kinds of evil things. But MLK was a victimhood type person. My.
Yeah, we can agree to disagree. I think once you read a little bit more of his speeches, and you might, maybe, possibly have a different opinion. But I'll leave you in your hell if that's where you'd rather stay.
Fair enough, Ronnie. Nice.
Yeah, we can leave it there. I ain't gonna hold up the lines too much. I'm sure they probably getting bored and tired of hearing about it. But strap in because it's Black History Month. Deal with it.
Whatever. But do you think Black History Month is evil?
It is as evil or not as evil as White History Month.
How so?
If you want to say it's evil, I wouldn't call it evil or not evil. I wouldn't say it's either or. I would just say it's a time and it'll pass.
Do you celebrate?
But if somebody,
Do you celebrate White History with us?
'cause I do celebrate it with y'all. And the funny thing is, when I call Jesse and say Happy White History Month, he repeats it back to me.
Mm-hmm.
And if people don't repeat it back to him, he kind of take an issue with him. But a couple of days ago, I said Happy Black History Month. He said, "Same to you." I said, "Oh, okay."
Nice, because he takes that as you're wishing him well, and he's wishing you well back. I think.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, it's all good.
All right, Ronnie. Nice.
Yes, sir. Yep. Yes. Y'all take care, and I'll call you again sometime.
That sounds good. Bye.
All right.
Was that too much? It might have been too much on Hake's part, keeping that conversation going. But I get sucked in talking to these black intellectuals, you know? Nice. Anyway. I'm live on Punchie.tv/Hake. I do believe, anyway. I'm live on Facebook. Lisa says it's what he's been brainwashed with. He knows nothing else. Who, me or him? Oh, man. Okay. What's up, Lisa? It says, be like Asians, don't feel. Hello to the D-Live crew. Hello to Dustin, Son of Liberty. And everybody else. Man. Shall we get to, let's get to something. Before I get back to the calls, hang tight, callers. I will get to you. Okay. There's George Washington Carver. So, if you go to the HakeReport.com, you can check out, different notes from JLP show, from the Hake Report. Oh, this is some drama about USAID. I keep on wanting to call it USAID. Be careful what you believe, what you see on the internet, what you believe, because you don't know what's true or not. This person, Hypocrite, who has interviewed JLP before, claims, so let me get this straight, and I don't know if any of this is true, but he's saying this. Vosh, Ayla, whoever that is, Richard Hanania, James Lindsay, were all funded by USAID? ? Who else? And is that true? I don't know. But I've interviewed Vosh. I've heard Richard Hanania. He's the... he's nice. James Lindsay. I've heard of James Lindsay. Conceptual James. I don't know if I want to know who that person is. It sounds like a woman. Shout out. And then he says, sorry, everyone. It turns out just a dream I had. I'm now, however, receiving credible reports. Someone was recipient and blah, blah, blah. However, also contrary to what Community Notes said, Hanania's foundation did receive U.S. aid money. So there's all these rumors flying around about people getting that USAID money, the Agency for International Development. What an evil name, huh? This person claimed Ben Stiller, that comedian guy I think is supposed to be funny. He's sort of funny, right? Or no? I think he kind of is. Oh yeah, he does this. In that one where he's a male model. They claim Ben Stiller was paid $4 million by USAID to take these pictures with Volodymyr Zelensky. Look at there's Anchor Baby, Zelensky, wearing his Anchor Baby shirt. And there's Hake wearing his Hake shirt. Hake's gotten kind of hairy, and that hair is looking kind of black. But anyway, that's Ben Stiller. Or is that Anchor Baby and Nick? Well, Ben Stiller claims actually these are lies coming from Russian media. I don't know if it's from Russian media. I'm completely self-funded my humanitarian trip to Ukraine, the Ukraine, he means. There was no funding from USAID. I want to keep on calling it USAID, but it's USAID. And certainly no payment of any kind, 100% false, because he quote tweets this woman who said that all these actors and actresses got all kinds of money to increase Zelensky's popularity around the world in the United States, because people are suckers and believe what celebrities say, or they believe what randos say on the internet, and you gotta not fall for it necessarily. And who cares, whatever. But it does turn out that USAID, I do believe, I'll tell you one thing I believe. I believe what Musk said about, they're Marxist. Musk I don't think, throws around the word Marxist as quickly as Hake throws around the word communist. I do throw around the word communist, but I think I'm accurate. My aim is true, I think. Shout out. So be careful what you believe about USAID. It's not necessarily true. And these people, those are just rumors. Don't believe rumors. Even from people whom you respect and admire. Say the New York Slimes says something, and you respect the New York Slimes like Hake does. Well, I'll tell you one thing. The New York Slimes has been wrong, and plus they're communist. So anyway, here, a little bit about Trump before I get to the more calls and super chats and stuff. Trump. This is from the far left extremist, also known as journalist, Aaron Rupar. Sign up for his newsletter, or don't. Trump, as little girls gather around him before he signs an order banning so-called trans people from sports. Does that include the FTM, female to wannabe male? I don't know. And then he says this.
Secret Service is worried about them. If we have to worry about them, we have big problems. Okay, do you want to have a film? Do you want to do this? Watch what I do, and then I'm going to give you some pens.
Let me play that one more time because it was kind of quiet. I'll play it a little bit louder for you guys.
Secret Service is worried about them. If we have to worry about them, we have big problems. Okay, do you want to have a film? Do you want to do this?
He's talking about the little girls surrounded him. Well, I saw Bodyguards and Assassins, a Chinese movie about one of the revolutions, by the way. And this little girl was standing there all dead-faced, not so innocent looking. And she stabbed one of this giant. What are those guys who are like monks? Who have like knots in their heads and they're strong and they do crazy things? She stabbed the guy and then everybody started stabbing him. You got to watch out for the little girls. Anyway, but those are probably fine.
Watch what I do, and then I'm going to give you some pens, okay? You ready? What a nice picture this is, huh, Governor?
Yeah.
You ready? We'll do a good job. Wait, let me press that.
Trump's so good with the kids, the little girls and boys.
I want to make this a really good signature. This is a big one, right?
Nice.
Secret.
Looking out for the little girls. And I don't bandwagon on the women's sports thing, but it's popular. He did it, whatever. I'm with JLP. We should ban these females from imposing on men's sports. Don't make the boys wrestle with the girls. Don't make the boys have to play with the girls on the football team. I remember when I was in high school, there was this one girl who played on the football team. And then sometimes my wrestling teammates, freshman year of high school, I wrestled. James the Snake Hake, not to be confused with Jake Rattlesnake, who appeared on Punchie TV. Don't confuse him with me. Jake Rattlesnake goes to the gym more than Hake, though. But whose arms are bigger? But anyway, yeah, and some of my classmates had to wrestle with females. And then they have like little boys, like Caitlin Clark played basketball with boys because there were no girls playing. And I bet you some of those boys like feeling like they had to hold back, or I don't know, it's just weird. And you're imposing. And then there's these females who they have the NFL. The NFL players are such mamas, boys. And the NFL owners, not Christians. Shout out. That they're wearing pink in the NFL. Susan G. Komen for the Cure, a radical pro-abortion, mama spirit cancer victimhood evil group that makes money off a bunch of people getting cancer and getting emotional about it. They don't want the cure. They push anger. They push abortion. They push all kinds of evil feminist mess. Anger causes cancer. Causes you to overeat the wrong things, and then you catch cancer. Or not sleep enough, or anger just, it does all kinds of things to your body. And then it does all kinds of things with your mind, then you get bad habits, the wrong habits, and all kinds of mess. Anyway, so yeah, let's get the women out of the men's stuff. But anyway, I still like Trump. You got a great spirit about him. Our greatest president, regardless. And this is what else Trump signed, allegedly. Gays can't talk like that voice anymore. Donald J. Trump. With a serious face. Oh, yes. This is Photoshopped, kids. It's not real. I'm pretty sure that everybody knows that that's not real. Because I'm going to give you just a taste, and then I'll shut it down, because this is vulgar. Oh, sorry. My bad. That was really bad. But you heard a little bit of that squealy voice of a grown adult male who looks like Hake. That guy looks just like Hake, almost. And he's wearing fatigues, driving in his car, talking. Pay attention, you're not supposed to be talking. But this is how he sounds.
This part of my uniform was like, when you're in this uniform, you need to abide by the standards in AR 670-1.
Okay, he's not sounding as gay, but when he first starts off, he's sounding all...
They were like...
Oh, here, let me go a little bit further. Because at the very beginning, it was nasty.
Hey, so...
You hear that?
I just went in a military building. These bitches just told me to go in this building.
What? Oh, he cussed. Well, he said the B word. So anyway, the guy's looking and sounding and acting flamboyant. Hake doesn't look and sound and act flamboyant, though. Right? Press 1 if I'm right. Press 2. Never mind. So this guy is acting all out of order. And so Trump signed an executive order saying gays can't talk in that voice anymore. But he didn't really. That's just a joke. But we wish. Wishful thinking. It would be nice. Memes. Memes are healing. Memes and humor, especially done with love, can heal. Also being serious with love can heal. And that's Trump. Healing America from the poison of hate, blame, and victimhood. The Antidote by Jesse Lee Peterson. Very nice. So, nice. All right. Whatever. Let's not get too carried away. I would like to get to Amy in Texas, Tejas. Amy, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. How are you?
Doing fine?
Good.
How about you?
I'm doing good. So I was going to tell you about this Bible that my mother-in-law gave us for Christmas a year ago.
Okay.
Called the American Patriots Bible. And I was looking through it, and I saw, you know, it has a little bit of American history, like little pages of American history stuck into the Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was looking at it, and then I turned to a page, and it had Obama on it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Was
and
that
I was like,
was that
really?
like a son of Satan or an spirit of the Antichrist?
And I'm like, are you serious? And then it was like, Obama put his hand on this specific page in the Bible on this specific verse because of blah, blah, blah.
Oh, Lord.
He's such a great Christian leader. And I was like, oh, no, it's not.
Wow. Dang.
And so then my brother-in-law was carrying that Bible around. And we all have this Bible.
That your mother gave. Wait.
My mother-in-law. So
Okay,
my
your mother.
husband's mom.
Okay.
So she gave us a Bible. She gave my husband's brother a Bible and my husband's sister a Bible. And his sister's husband, like, he was carrying it to church. This was at Christmas time this year, or the most recent Christmas. And he was carrying it around, and the preacher was looking at the Bible going, "That's weird." And I said, "Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that Bible. It has pockets. It's different." And then later, Ben was like, "Why were you digging on this Bible?" And I said, "Because I don't think Obama's a Christian."
That's funny. You know, you should check out the GodBlessTheUSABible.com.
Okay.
That was the one that Trump and Lee Greenwood made.
Oh, really? I didn't know they made a Bible.
Yeah, and it's just the King James Bible, but it has.
Okay.
I don't know. It made the news, and it's easy to read, large print, slim design. It invites you to explore God's. Okay, so I don't know. I thought about buying it, but I'm like, I didn't buy it. But it might be kind of cool. So I don't know. There are other special editions. Some are sold out. There's a pink one, and here's what Trump says about it. Oh, darn. Maybe it's not going to load. I thought it was going to load. Anyway.
Oh, okay.
Partnering with my good friend Lee Greenwood, I encourage you to get this God Bless USA Bible.
Introducing the limited edition God Bless the USA Bible, inspired by Lee Greenwood's hit song and the most recognized patriotic anthem in America, God Bless the USA. The God Bless the USA large print leather-bound King James Bible also contains America's founding documents, designed for an easy reading experience in the trusted King James Version translation. This large print Bible is perfect to take to church, Bible study, work, and for traveling. Order yours today at
So anyway, yeah, it's. I think it's anyway. I'm not endorsing this Bible necessarily, but it has the founding documents. It probably doesn't necessarily promote, say, Trump put his hand on this page of his mother's Bible, and this makes him such a great Christian. It just has the founding, the America's Declaration of Independence, maybe Constitution, and the Bible.
Yeah. Well, and my brother-in-law was like, "You're judging Obama." We're not supposed to judge.
Right. And that's true.
Yeah.
We shouldn't judge Obama in our evil hearts. That's true.
I was like,
but you don't put Obama, they're judging Obama as a good Christian, and that's not true either.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're judging him as good.
And he only went to church when he was in office. So it was like, oh.
Well, he did go to that. God dang America. He said, cover your ears, kids, but I'm quoting a black preacher. He went to that goddamn America church.
Oh.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
America's chickens came home to roost at 9/11.
Oh. I'm going to have to look it up.
The Reverend Jeremiah Wright Jr. was a black something theology, black liberation theology type Christian, which was communist type, victimhood, into the black thing, identity, Christian stuff. Mm-hmm. Not real Christian. So FYI.
Do you know the hot topic in Texas right now?
No.
It is about the school voucher program that is sounding like it's going to happen.
The school vouchers.
Yes, school vouchers. So what's happening is they're taking the taxpayers' money and they're going to give $10,000 per student to private school students, while they're only giving like $3,000 per student for public school. And then they're going to do $2,000 per student for homeschool. And if the homeschool people sign up for that, like they say, "Yes, give me a voucher." Then the government's going to be like, "Okay, now you have to have your kid take the STAR, which is the school test."
They want that money is all about control. That's why you don't accept money if you can help it sometimes. You know, like
Right.
Bond, the Jesse's nonprofit, doesn't accept any money from the government because that money has hooks in it, and it's all about control.
Yeah, they can tell you how to spend it.
Yeah.
Right.
Just
And
like
that's why there's
just
so
like
many homeschool people who are like, oh, I could really use some extra money to
Yep.
help my kids, but it's like, no, you do not want that.
yeah. How about get rid of taxes? Get rid of all those property taxes and stuff, because property taxes are wrong anyway, and then use that money to make your own school privately, maybe, or you know.
Yeah, I mean there's so many people in our population who can't afford to school their children or pay someone else to do it. But it's very possible that public school is going to go under with the voucher program. It's just
Interesting.
It's going to be. I don't know what's going to happen to public school, but having a educated, even if it's not 100% right educated, having a somewhat educated population is better than having an uneducated population.
You know, yeah. I mean, it's good that everybody knows how to read proficiently.
Yeah.
And to write and do math. That's good. I will say one thing about these vouchers. They seem kind of like integration. You know how integration put blacks in with whites, and it made the experience bad for the whites and for blacks because there was like infighting and jealousy and accusations of racism and bullying and fighting and all that mess. And that's gonna lower the quality of the schools because it's gonna put poor black kids into who were poorly raised into nicer schools, and those nicer schools are not going to be as nice anymore.
Right. Well, people think that they're going to be able to send their kids to private school with the voucher money.
Uh-huh.
And that's not going to be possible. If a school's already full, it's already full.
True.
And on top of that, the private schools are just going to take the money and then they're going to raise their tuition.
Yeah.
So then only the people who can afford to go there are the people who can afford to go there.
Yep. Subsidies.
Which leaves everybody in the same place anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
In small towns, there's no choice. There's only the school that's in your area.
Yeah.
Like where's my town gonna go?
Yeah.
What school are they gonna go to? They're gonna travel 30 minutes north for school? I mean, some do already.
Wow.
In Texas, people can transfer schools for a small fee if they want to. It's only $60.
Interesting. I don't. You made a great point that these subsidies only serve to increase the prices because people can afford more on top of that $2,000 or $8,000 or whatever, however many thousands of dollars. So they're going to raise the prices even more. It's like how textbooks are going out of control and college admissions, college costs are going out of control. They're subsidizing everything, which makes everything more expensive. It's crazy.
Okay, so are you familiar with the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills?
No. Texas Essential, it's one of the standards that the state has adopted?
Yes, it is the state standard. That is what the teachers are supposed to teach in school.
Uh-huh.
Now, being a former teacher,
according to the
familiar with it.
The state politicians agreed to this. Yeah.
This is what the state has decided the teachers are supposed to teach in school.
Uh-huh.
It is, quote unquote, the official curriculum. Although it is not textbooks, it's a list of what's supposed to be taught.
Right. Yep. So those textbooks have to jump through all these hoops and check all the boxes to be adopted, for example.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct. And then our TEA, Texas Education Association, decides which textbooks are appropriate to teach in school. They say these are the approved ones. These are these are the unapproved ones. These are approved, but they're not going to help you with STAR, which is the big test.
Yeah.
And so then school districts pay, tons of money to have these textbooks come in. And these textbooks are what are written by the liberals.
Yeah, exactly. What a racket.
Who are trying to bring in stuff that really shouldn't be taught in school.
That's right.
And it's not on our TEKS, our Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills. It's not part of what's supposed to be taught. So why isn't our government coming in and saying, no, textbook writers, write something real? Instead, they're trying to discredit schools and say that teachers are teaching badly. Yeah. And by giving a test that's written by AI and graded by AI, the passing score was 20% this past year.
What?
Yes, it was designed to fail. And
that's
the test
crazy.
is supposed to show us how teachers are performing, and yet it's not testing children on a level that they're learning at.
That is so interesting. Even Texas is hell. Corrupted by the liberals. And that's part of the problem with these central government things, because Texas state government is a central government that is imposing this and funding this total racket, money-making, propaganda-pushing racket on the kids.
And nobody wants it. The Republicans don't want it. The Democrats don't want it. Whoa. We don't want it. And we're all tired of the STAR.
Yeah,
we're all tired of it.
That STAR is the test, yeah. The state. Yes. Okay.
The state test.
I remember. I feel like I might have taken STAR toward the end of my high school career, or one of those state mandated test things.
Are you from Texas?
No, I'm from California, but it might not have been Texas, but it might have been something else. But same idea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all these textbook companies, they have to jump through all these hoops to be adopted by all these different states who have all these different standards, and the standards are all a bunch of sort of liberal gobbledygook in many cases, or they go farther because they're trying to be adopted by other liberals. Probably those Texas textbooks are also adopted by California, and California mandates that you include the LGBT diversity stuff.
Yeah, so we do have textbooks that are coming from California.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a big mess. It's evil.
Yes.
So I don't just want to get rid of the National Department of Education. I want to abolish the state departments of education, but that's
yes.
I don't know if you can do that. I mean, the people have to wise up.
Local schools still need to exist because we need to have an educated population.
Right, but that doesn't have to be
run by the... We need to get rid of STAR. We need to get rid of the national testing.
National testing?
State testing.
Yeah, it'd be good to get the states out of your local government.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So but I don't think I don't know if that's ever going to happen. That's a dream. It's a dream. You just have to realize this is the world. The world is filled with evil people, and evil people are going to push evil and try to mislead the blind and try to corrupt and offend the children. You know what Jesus said about offending the little children? It would be better if a large millstone were tied around their necks and thrown into the sea. I think this is the type of thing that he was talking about with parents who are evil towards their children and offending the children, causing them to be angry, and so-called teachers, textbooks, social media, all that. Politicians, a bunch of wolves in sheep's clothing, thinking that they're doing something good. Mm-hmm. Interesting. I find this fascinating because I know a little bit about the textbook world. I worked in that a little bit.
Did you?
Yeah. And my dad actually wrote some textbooks back in the day. And so... Oh, nice. Yeah. Saxon math.
You've heard Bill Lockwood talk about old textbooks having Bible verses in them.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that disappeared.
Right. Yeah, totally.
But Texas is putting the 10 Commandments back in the schools.
Nice. That's cool. It's nice.
It's nice.
But we need to change the hearts of the people, so then it starts with us, with you and with me.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, Amy. Great call. Good to hear from you.
Yes. Nice talking to you.
All
Bye.
right. Bye. I'm chuckling in advance of taking John in Kentucky on the line here. John, Kentucky John, what's up, man?
Why are you chuckling for?
Because I see the topic that you called in about, this stupid Trump Bible.
Yeah. Why didn't you tell her the truth about that?
Because God bless the USA. He is a true Israelite.
Why didn't you tell her the absolute truth, Hake?
What's the absolute truth?
The absolute truth is Trump is about his money. He's about that dollar bill. When he sees green, he's smart. He's a smart businessman. He says, I got all these millions of followers. All I got to do is get with Lee Greenwood and call this the God Bless America Bible, and we'll make so many millions of dollars. Knowing that it's evil to mix politics with the Word of God and the testimony of Jesus and a holy book like the Bible.
I think he did it.
You're not supposed to do that.
I think he did it in a respectful way. I think he put, it's not necessarily just politics. You can call the Declaration of Independence politics. It was. I understand, but it's also like history. America is a Christian nation, or it used to be. It was founded as one. It was founded by Christians, by and large. Some of them believed in God, but didn't think that God really interfered much in human affairs, which is what they call a deist, I guess. But they believed in God and religion. And
Americans aren't the only one who believe in God.
No, but we also do believe in God, and so why not have a God Bless the USA Bible? You
guys try to monopolize God and make money off of God. Yeah. And it's evil. It's evil to mix politics and religion or spirituality, however you want to say it, because politics are worldly. And God didn't tell us that we have to go vote for somebody in order to make it to the other side or whatever.
Well, so, I differ with you in that politics is part of religion and religion is part of politics.
No.
Politics
are man. It's for man. It's worldly, Hake.
Yeah, but God should be in our
God.
Shouldn't God inform your politics?
Yeah, but see, you guys lie about Trump, man. Trump doesn't know anything about God. If I had to put all my money on it, I would say he's an atheist. And he just goes along with the flow because he's become a politician and he has to be what you guys are.
I think that what you say reminds me of what I think of Obama. I think Obama is an atheist, and he pretends like he's a Christian. He pretends to be...
Yeah, same for Trump.
Yeah, but I don't think of Trump as that.
Corinthians 2.
Which Corinthians? First or second?
Ask Trump.
Oh, 2 Corinthians.
yeah, 2 Corinthians. Yeah, that's right. Ask Trump.
Where the Spirit of the Lord is, fake, there is liberty. I think Trump, 2 Corinthians 3:17. Now the Lord is Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. And we're at Liberty University, Trump said. Isn't that wonderful? And he talked about we should unify as Christians and pull together and band together, and we could be powerful for what's right.
Oh, my God.
Trump loves America. He loves Christians. He loves Jesus. He loves the Bible.
Love Christians. He loves the dollar bill. He loves the dollar bill.
Well, what's wrong with that?
You're not supposed to love and worship money. Hey,
yeah, but you're putting worship into it. Maybe he used to. I don't know.
What is it?
I think
his top priority.
I think he's kind of like King Solomon. King Solomon had a lot of wealth, but he was wise.
Sounds like to me you just brainwashed, and you're going to defend Trump until you die, and then it's going to be too late for you. That's what it sounds like.
Oh, so you're saying it's not too late for me right now?
No, it's too late for you and Jesse. All you guys who mix politics, politics and religion on a daily basis for your jobs, yeah, it's too late for y'all. Y'all just
Who came up with this
bad
rule? God?
information.
I don't think that God said not to mix politics and religion. What do you mean?
Well, he says that you're not supposed to partake in anything worldly.
Well, what does that mean, though?
Well.
What does that mean, though?
That means all. Politics is a dirty game. What does God have to do with politics? Politics is a dirty game, man. It's nothing clean about politics.
Fair,
And
but the Bible says,
evil, hey?
Your Bible says, your Black Hebrew Israelite Bible says that God established those ruling authorities.
We're not. Yeah. He also put white people in charge of everything.
Yeah. So
but we're not supposed to take part in politics. We don't vote for president. We don't care at all.
But that's
God
your
first.
interpretation of the Bible. The Bible doesn't say don't vote. It says it says don't participate in worldly things. Well, I could say, don't have sex then, because sex is a worldly thing. But sex is something that is okay to do. In the Bible says it's okay when you're married to have sex sometimes.
The Bible says find a wife and make babies as many as you can. That's what the Bible says. So you can't use that.
And then it
example.
says, well, you're doing worldly things though, and you're ascribing voting as worldly and sinful when the Bible doesn't really say that.
It has nothing to do with God. What does vote for president have to do with God?
It has to do with directing the country in the way the country should go.
Man, this is an evil country, Hake. Come on, man.
Just because the country's evil doesn't mean that shouldn't you direct the country toward less evil?
So God has nothing to do with it.
But you should direct the country away from evil. Yeah.
That's what I called in about, man. It's evil. Trump partakes in evil, mixing Constitution and the Declaration of Independence with God's word. It's evil. It's just to make money. It's not to help anybody. But you can defend him all you want to. You should have been a lawyer, Hake. You would have been a great lawyer. You know that?
Not just the Constitution, but the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, and the Pledge.
I said the Declaration of Independence.
Okay, the Bill of Rights and the Pledge of Allegiance. And it also has the handwritten chorus to "God Bless the USA" by Lee Greenwood.
Oh, good promotion, man.
It's a promotion, but it's also the King James Bible, which is nice. Would you rather have those things without the Bible or with the Bible?
Hey, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
If the Black Panthers or somebody put their mission statement on a King James Bible and put whatever else kind of documents they have, you would be saying the same thing I'm saying.
Well, yeah, I said that about what Amy in Texas was describing
about Obama.
Yeah, they put Obama in there and said, "Oh, look, he's a great Christian. He put his hand on this little silly thing." I think it's silly, but at least the Bible's there. Maybe somebody can see the Bible and see the son of Satan and be like, "Oh, this is the Bible. This is true."
You're not supposed to add to or take away. And
no, but we're not saying this stuff is scripture. We're just saying this stuff is America's documents.
You leave it separate. You don't use it as a marketing tool to sell Bibles. You don't do that.
It says you. Maybe you don't.
And when you laugh, all you're doing is saying, "Yeah, he's probably right." That's all you're saying.
Not really.
Yeah.
Whatever. Well,
yeah.
Cry
got
more.
You on that one.
Cry more.
Got you on that one. I gotta go.
All right. Take care. Oh my goodness, he got me good. Will in Australia is on the line over here. Will, thanks for calling and holding, man. What's up?
Oh, not much, sir. Just having my morning coffee as usual.
Right on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Jiminy Crickets, that was hard to listen to. What the heck?
Yeah, sorry.
My gosh. What, would you rather not have God in the country? What's going on?
It doesn't make any sense, but that's the Black Hebrew Israelite mind.
Go somewhere else if you don't like it. I'll take his place.
That would be cool.
I'll be an American.
Yeah. We'll have you.
Anyways, that's enough of the boo-hooing. I called about the Eureka Stockade. Do you know much about that?
The Eureka Stockade?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. I know Eureka, that's like a Northern California place where they found gold? Oh, but there's one. Okay, a rebellion by gold miners in Australia. Is the Eureka Stockade? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let me look that up.
And we lost.
You guys lost?
Yeah, well, it was only one town in rural Victoria called Ballarat. Like, there was other surrounding parts that, that heard about it, but I guess because it was in the 1800s, there wasn't as much connectivity and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, right.
So, yeah, it was just sort of one town against the entire government.
Oh, okay. So the rebellion was the gold miners in Australia fought against the colonial government's management of the gold fields. The battle is considered the beginning of Australian democracy. Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I think it all started because they wanted to, you didn't need a license to gold mine in the beginning. You could just pick up a pan, gather your friends and go mine some gold.
Awesome.
Because it's fairly rich out here, especially in the Victorian rural areas.
Okay. Rich with gold in the ground or wherever.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. It still is to this day. There's companies and businesses that come out here that do it for a job still.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, dude. I do it for fun sometimes. I've been out, the back of my place. It's called Lightning Hill. It's a massive hill, and it's like a big quartz rock, and then surrounding it is there's a whole heap of gold mines, like just pitter-pattered everywhere throughout the whole bush. And if you're lucky, you can find a nice area, and you can pan for gold and find a little bit if you like.
That is pretty cool.
But you do need a license.
Unfortunately. Thanks a lot, government.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I wanted to call up about, just to talk about that and how we lost.
So it's funny that you're basically saying that the establishment of the Australian government, the so-called democracy, was a loss for, and you're saying we, meaning like you identify with these gold miners who wanted their independence from the government.
A lot of people do.
Wow.
We have our own flag. I'm not sure if you're Googling it right now, but there's a flag. It's like a cross, and then there's stars around the cross. It's sort of like your, I wouldn't say it's exactly like it, but it's sort of like that.
The rebel flag?
What other flag you got? Yeah, that one.
The Confederate. Like that, it's sort of like the Confederate flag. Okay.
Yeah, and it's shunned like that flag as well.
Wow. Is it called racist?
I'm not sure if it goes that far, but it could be considered racist.
Yeah. Yes. Probably associated with the "Don't Tread on Me" Gadsden flag a little bit. The Tea Party with the snake.
I don't even understand that flag. What's that flag about?
"Don't Tread on Me." It dates back to something that I don't remember either. But "Don't Tread on Me" flag. But the idea of the flag of that image is a serpent, a snake, saying, "Don't step on me. I'm a lowly snake in the grass, and don't step on me." Oh, and there's other words, but and I don't know what the history and the beginning of it was, but the Tea Party patriots during the Obama years, we were like, we're taxed enough already. All of your regulations and taxes are evil. We flew that flag. Well, not me personally, but a lot of people did. We're like, the government is treading on the people. And that sounds like just like what you're talking about.
Yes, exactly right. Yeah. Okay, I understand that now. I've never really done research into it either. I probably should have, but yeah, okay.
That's cool.
Wow.
Well, respect and brotherhood with the Australians, and we wish you well with your evil government. It's funny that you, from its founding, don't even like the founding government. At least Americans, we like our founding government, I think. And maybe we're wrong.
Yeah. Well, your country was founded. I'm pretty sure there was an old saying that my pop used to say. It was God, country, and then family. I think there was like that 3-tiered understanding. I'm not sure if you guys have that over there as well.
Well, we used to say God and country, But yeah, family was kind of implied right after, around there.
Mm.
Are you still there? I think he cut out.
Oh no.
Yeah, you're cutting in and out there, Will, in Australia. Darn. I think I'm losing you. Ooh, I think I'm losing you. And this is our Spanish lullaby. That's off key. Well, great call, Will, in Australia. I'm going to have to let you go, I guess. Or I'll put you on hold for a second. I might be able to get back to you. Check on Will for me. Speaking of Will, let me get to William. Number 3, William the Third. What's up, William, in California? Hey.
How you doing?
Doing well. Thanks.
Good. Yeah, I think Amy talking about that education thing, I think it's probably because of so many people from up here in California moved down there and changed some of their tactics on the educational thing.
Oh. Interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's all kinds of mess, and everywhere you go, there's liberals. You can't get away from them. And also, there's even evil in the conservatives. There's egos, and and look at a lot of the so-called Republicans. Joe from Phoenix, he's far more socialist minded than I am, I think. So anyway, what a mess.
I wonder how Joe's doing.
Yeah.
I haven't heard from him in a while.
I brought him up because I'm thinking Ronnie in Ohio. Like Ronnie in Ohio is, he's sort of a reasonable man, but yet his thinking on some of these issues is way different from me.
Oh yeah. It took quite a long time to basically say, like the Homestead thing didn't last that long, and it took him a long time to basically say that, it wasn't fair or whatever, and I get what he's saying, but it's just not the kind of society we live in, and it's just today. And
he said it lasted over 100 years, like until 1970.
Maybe so. Maybe I might be wrong on that.
Yeah.
I don't pay attention.
But that's not the only thing happening in America. There's a whole lot happening in America, good and bad, for home ownership, for generation, for and against so-called generational wealth, and it's a mess.
What about generational wealth? That's something he was talking about. He was talking about the unfairness about it. What is this unfair about it?
That blacks were given less opportunity than whites to get generational wealth by, for example, the Homestead Act. But what he wasn't, I don't know that he was acknowledging that integration destroyed the generational wealth of whites in many of these towns. And all kinds of things are, and generational wealth is squandered by some generations.
Yes, it is.
Yep.
It is.
So it's
I have generational wealth, but I also stayed with my father and grandfather.
That's right.
By their side and learned how to accumulate more.
Yeah.
With all of the things that I've had a chance to do in life, work decent jobs, work real hard, be honest, don't get arrested, do something with your life. That's basic stuff you don't have to brag about. But then when they went away, this one thing that a lot of people didn't know is that whites were exposed to business tactics much longer, and blacks did accumulate a lot of land after slavery, and that's the truth. My most prized possession is land.
Nice.
I have buildings.
That's right.
I have buildings, but I love my land more than anything.
Right on.
And I have it in California, and I have it in Texas, and there's slaves. We have a family gravesite with slaves in it. So blacks did accumulate a lot. Now, what happens in the business sense, historically, blacks always had wills instead of living trust.
Uh-huh.
You don't pay taxes on trust.
Oh, cool.
And like you just said, some of the land was squandered away.
Yep.
That might be self-inflicted here or there with some and maybe not the others. But they had it, and until Martin Luther King came along, they had much more.
Yeah. Right. I know. And
I'm standing on land right now that's generational wealth. And then you got to know how to, it's like my house, brand new. I like being here more than I like being down there in the San Joaquin Valley. At my house, I like it here better with the animals, the peace. But, there's a way to accumulate even more wealth. Like, they're going up with the home insurance in California. There's ways of getting around things if you're smart.
yeah.
I bought my house through my business, and I pay my business back without interest. And those are just tactics and business tactics that generate more generational wealth. And where do they think people's generational wealth, speaking of white people, since they always say they have more, where do they think the generational wealth is supposed to go?
I know. It's terrible. It's getting stolen by the government, in my opinion, in many times.
No, but I mean, no, it's like the argument
it's supposed to go to their children. And then...
the families.
Yeah. What a mess.
That's where yours is coming to you.
Or if a father doesn't want to spoil his children, he gives it away to something else. Yeah, which is fair as well. A valid, maybe better. Who knows?
And depending on the situation.
Yep.
But it's just being smart with your money and make it move.
Yeah.
And you can't put a skin color on that. If somebody's smarter than you that learns how to accumulate something and has it for many, many, many years through his family, and I like Ronnie, but I didn't get it. It took a long time to basically say he wanted something given to him. There is not going to be any land given to anybody.
He was talking about the Great Depression, and the boots that everybody had in the Great Depression was the God-given wherewithal to save, not waste.
Yes. Yep.
People from the Great Depression, my grandparents, both sides, they saved their stuff. They were frugal. They did not waste. That is the boots, the God-given boots to get through hard times.
Yeah.
So you're.
I did a lot of swell things through life. I had a father that was in professional racing. I had a grandfather that was in real estate, and everything is still here. I can still go racing right now, but I don't like to waste.
Right.
Because it's there. I'll go and attend the race and fly out to a race and don't have to race anymore because I know what kind of work that takes. But I'm going to tell you that I would never apologize to anybody for that.
That's right.
And I think that's what black people think that if you don't think like them, you're not black.
William, I gotta wrap it up.
You wrap it up, and good subject, good show, and everything, and you guys take it easy.
Appreciate it, man. Take care.
All right.
Bye. Real fast, let me get to Will in Australia. His phone had gone out. Will, last words. I didn't get to hear your closing statements there. Are you there? Oh, no, Will in Australia. He was back, but he's gone again. Will in Australia, thank you, man. I got to go. Take care, man. Thank you for the call and the tip about the beautiful Australians who wanted their independence but didn't get it. Take care, man. I would be remiss were I to fail my duties to do the Rumble rants. I mean, there was a Rumble rant up top here. The Super Chats, look at me still complaining over on Rumble. Celestial Lord says, stop judging the ads, Hake. It's 1D. Ad. A-D-S. Short for advertisement. But thank you, Celestial Lord, for the Rumble rant. Define boot. Yeah, good point. Good question, Jules Verne. That would have been a great question. Define boot. Define it. Yeah. Saying, oh, you don't have boots. Talk about a tortured metaphor. Pull yourselves up by the bootstraps. I don't have any boots. It's a metaphor, silly. What's up, Beta? Is that Beta Legs? Nice, Beta Legs. Always faithful with the lemons. Lin Yen Chin. Some super chats, guys. Carver. Who's that? Chabot. Is that Chabot? Yeah. Or Chabot. Not a victim. Always interesting. C-Bill. Popcorn's Thump Keg. Popcorn's Thump Keg says, during a press conference with Bibi this week, Trump was asked the following questions. You're talking about the United States taking over a sovereign territory. What authority would allow you to do that? Are you talking about a permanent occupation there, redevelopment? Trump steamrolled past the first question, began his answer with, I do see a long-term ownership position. I see it bringing great stability to that part of the Middle East and maybe the entire Middle East. It was not a decision made lightly. Everybody I've spoken to loves the idea of the U.S. owning a piece of land, etc., etc. He goes on, but nowhere in his answer did I hear him answer the first part of the question. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think you're wrong. Which is under what authority a sovereign territory can just be taken over by another country. What makes it sovereign? But anyway, my understanding is the Gaza Strip is owned by the Palestinian Authority under the Oslo Accords. They may have squandered that with doing October 7th, not sure. It sets a dangerous precedent when ideologies like might makes right or being in line with is just saying we're taking it over get used. If a country said we're taking Florida and we might have the might to do it, folks would cry foul. How dare they, right? To you and those in chat who are familiar with international law, rules of engagement, etc., can you answer the reporter's question? Under what authority can Trump just take and occupy the Gaza Strip? Let's talk brass tacks. Policy, not emotion, says Popcorn's Thump Keg. The way the world works, Popcorn, is might makes right, and then you bend the rules to make it work. But brass tacks, I'll leave that to somebody else, or I don't know. C-Bill bought 3 coffees. Ronnie from Ohio is the emotional one. He's like the liberal woman. Whoa, Ronnie, have you forgiven your mama? Laughing face, tears. Not a victim says, I love Ronnie. Heart. He is very interesting to hear his intelligent remarks and his dour mood. Great word, dour. I love it. D-O-U-R. Chabot says, seeking comfort is a slow poison. Good point, man. Very true. Carver says, hey, KFC John, a.k.a. Ronnie there, the same person? Talking mess about DEI got my attention. The victims of DEI aren't white people. The real and legitimate victims are the people on the plane when it goes down because of black air traffic controller. The guy getting shot instead of tased by the lady cop. Taser, 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 blam. Oops. And the people living the horrible cities run by a diverse mayor. Also, speaking of snakes, not to plug, but how are we supposed to find your new competitor? His show, did he ever name drop or anything? No, I told him not to promote it. But just him mentioning that was promoting it. Thank you, Carver. Very interesting. And honestly, the people who get the spoiled by DEI are also victims of it. Blacks themselves are victims of DEI, and the women too, and the gays. You're spoiling them, which is doing a disservice to them. It's evil. It's a victim. You're doing them wrong. Interesting, guys. I had to rush through the supers because I have to wrap things up. Man, oh man, oh man. My favorite caller, Maze from the sundown town of Dayton, Ohio, is on the line here. Maze, how you doing? Thanks for calling.
I'm doing fine, James. I'm going to make it quick.
All right.
They want to put Bibles back into the school, in the classroom. For what?
For making America Christian again.
Really? So when they had them in there the last time, they was killing, hanging, and all this kind of stuff with the Bibles in the classroom. So what's going to be the difference between now and then? The same thing back then is going to happen again?
Say that again?
I say, so they was hanging people and mistreating people at the time the Bibles was in the classroom. So what's going to be different this time?
Oh, there will still be evil being done, for sure. Definitely.
Really?
Yep.
Well, I suggest that they just keep them out the classroom and keep them out of their life and keep them out of their head. Because you got some stupid people. I mean, I'm bright, so I won't say that because that's too harsh.
Thanks.
Some bright people that don't understand the plight for black people. We're not worried about, we pay taxes. You never have a conversation about the taxes that we pay. And the land that was taken from the black people that was never given back to them, you got a lot of kids that can go back to the land that they grew up on, but it don't belong because it was taken away from them. But we don't have conversations like that. Only black people can have conversations like that. So the people that took their land should give it back to them and get off of it, and you're still taking land.
You sound bitter, Maze.
I'm not bitter.
Okay.
The truth is not bitter. Y'all try to put words because we don't like it. We're going to fix it the way we want it.
I got to go, Maze. Nice talking with you.
That's right. You don't rule us. That's the problem. You do not rule black people. And we all don't think alike. No one when we do. Have a good one.
You too, Maze. Ah!
So I hit the road and shoulder and song. See if I can dig it up before I'm gone. Dig it up, dig it up. Jesus, come free us. Dig it up, Wall Street, rising at the feet. Dig it up, dig it up. Jesus, come free us. Dig it up, Wall Street, rising at the feet.
Here come Jesus, come to save us. Here come Wall Street, crashing at his feet. Crashing at his feet. Come to free us. Anti-Wall Street Christian propaganda? Psalters. Dig it up, dig it up. Jesus, come to free us. Wall Street, crashing at his feet. Dig it up, dig it up. Jesus, come to free us. Wall Street, crashing at his feet.
Big shiny advertisements all around my I can't wait to see my Lord terror holding the sky. All around the guys promise me freedom. Come on, I bet on his thought, oh boy, is the one who made it come.
Dig it up, dig it up.
Jesus, come to free us. Wall Street, crashing at his feet. Dig it up, dig it up. Jesus, come to free us. Wall Street, crashing at his feet.
It's Christian! 2 Hour Friday.
Destruction, no deliverance. How's it gonna end? Sometimes you gotta knock it down so it can move on again. Dig it up.
Here comes Wall Street, crashing at his feet. Racist song. I gotta get out of here. Like the Dreadnoughts. Crashing at his feet.